Hey there, everyone. My name's Lobo Okami. You're watching Drinking with Mo's.
All right, everybody, welcome to Drinking at Mo's. Host Big Mo here. I've interviewed promoters for Paradigm and New Wave, and today I have with me a guy that has been doing some pretty big things, making waves in both promotions. Okami, how you doing?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Oh, I can't complain. My wife and I finally getting back into our house, getting some of my stuff that I'm going to end up getting put in my little man cave sorted out. You know, those watching the YouTube version, my little start to my Funko Pop collection. I'm slowly getting into it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to limit what I get into with it, because you know there's so much of those things that if I try to collect them all, I'm not going to have enough room.
Yeah, I had a really bad problem with that too. I would buy a whole collection and then be like, man, I have so many in boxes, some that are on the wall, some that are just on desks or randomly put in random places.
Yeah, right now I'm trying to limit myself to wrestling, different variations of the Marvel ones. I'm trying to stick to Avengers and Deadpool. I want to get a bunch of the Deadpool variations. I got the only one of the humans of the Jurassic World Dominion ones I don't have is Alan Grant, and I know where I can find one here in town. And I got a couple Star Wars ones. I'm trying to limit myself to those.
I feel that, yeah. I do like anime, and then I've been working on the Seinfeld run of them.
I might jump into Ninja Turtles because I'm a big Ninja Turtles guy. When I was growing up, it was pro wrestling and Ninja Turtles. Those are my thing. But one thing I'd like to start off with everybody is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you started, you know, jumping into wrestling, you know, actually making the leap to getting in the ring.
I mean, like, as far as being a fan, it's just something that I always watched. My dad watched it. My mom grew up watching it. So, you know, just through being their child, it was on Saturday nights and Saturday mornings. It became a lifelong love affair. And then to like getting into it, it was like I'm bored doing everything else that I'm doing. Let me actually try to like chase a dream before it gets to like that sort of thing. So did that, took a little time off, came back, you know, I guess about 1.5 years, 2 years ago now. I hit the ground running and have been going ever since.
That's awesome. I know that's awesome with your family, because I know with mine, I think I had some cousins that would watch, and then I had an uncle that has since passed that he kind of watched a little bit. And yeah, I was pretty much the only one in my immediate family, because I don't know, but when I was growing up, they only had the syndication. So it was like, I would never, you know, as young as I was, I'd never know when to, you know, try to make sure I was watching. So some months I'd watch a couple times, other times it might be a month or two in between.
Right.
But, oh man, whenever I actually found it on, I was always watching. My dad, and I specifically remember him telling me one time when shortly after he took me to my first WWF time show, he, I think, was hoping that it was going to be a bit of a phase and, hopefully I get out of it. But I mean, here I am, just turned 39, and I'm still watching like I always did. But who are some of your favorites growing up?
Growing up, man, I was into like loud characters, so Sting, Great Muta, Road Warriors, Steiner Brothers. The older that I've gotten and, actually being in the business and stuff has made me really find appreciation for guys like Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, a lot of, I started watching Japanese wrestling in my teens. So, growing up and even still to this day, it's Kobashi and Misawa, like all of them, and the Pillars, Vader in Japan. I watch a lot of wrestling now, but if you ask me, Eddie Guerrero would be my favorite wrestler, I think.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that one. He's definitely up on my list. I know growing up, you mentioned Road Warriors. Those guys, they're up on my list of favorite overall, but definitely favorite tag team ever. I got to see them live once, and I can't remember too many other times that I was on my feet from the moment their music hit to the moment they went back.
Yeah.
That, for them, I was jumping up and down. Oh my God. That, and I saw Stone Cold in the same show, and I don't get starstruck too often. Because I've met a handful of my favorites. I've met Edge, Jericho, who else here? I met Jonah when I was at Warrior. He's one of my favorites right now. But Stone Cold, I ever met him, I don't think I'd be able to get a word out.
Yeah.
I'd just be like dumbfounded that I was actually meeting him. But like you, younger, I was a bit of the colorful, loud characters, the Road Warriors. And now I find myself gravitating towards the guys that maybe they might not be so loud, like vocally, but they're definitely loud and intense. The intensity, they let that speak for it. Like, one of my big time favorites right now, Tomohiro Ishii. Love that guy. But we talked a little bit when I brought up the intro about, talking to the promoters of Paradigm and New Wave. Paradigm, they've had that UWFI Rules Contender Series. And when he was explaining it to me, it seemed like something, when I look at you in the ring, it looks like something that, like, based off a look, is like, holy shit, yeah, you would fit right in there, just bam, and the intensity of all that. It was a very, very unique concept, because with the sheer amount of independent wrestling and just pro wrestling in general out there, I find a lot of places needing to find something that makes them unique. And that concept, the UWFI rules, from what I remember from the explanation I was being given, I'm like, yeah, that's a very unique concept, and something that I definitely love watching.
Yeah, no, it's great. That adapted the original UWF style made it this nice mishmash blend of wrestling and UWF and MMA, and just depending on who it is, maybe just a straight up bar fight. Which is sure, I may thrive a little bit better sometimes when the other person's had a few too many and I'm just there to knock heads or something. But it's a completely different atmosphere, than a regular wrestling match, because the rules are so much stricter, right? Like, you've got to have a different game plan going in. And I thought at first I could come in, throw hands, whatever, and it'd be easy, like taking out drunks down at the tavern. But then you get in there and you see guys like Tom Lawler and Akira and Dominic Guarini, and just these guys that have legit shoot fighting backgrounds, and it's like, man, that's like, I've actually got to step my game up now, because I've been going up against guys that are just fighters and losing. So, like, I know for me to succeed, if I want to be successful in UWFI, like, you can't just come in and, go balls to the wall in a fight. Like, you got to have strategy. You got to think about it. So it's different. It's nice sometimes to get away from a regular wrestling scenario and have to put yourself in that situation where you're having to think like an actual, like a fighter or something. Yeah. Whereas, instead of being like, oh, I can just kick this guy. Like, if you kick at the wrong person, you may be in a knee bar real quick, and then that's it for you. You're 30 seconds in, and what just happened?
Oh yeah, no, I know. Especially when you think into guys that kind of mix the pro wrestling training with MMA, it's like what you brought up there. You try to kick one of those guys at the wrong moment, they'll catch that leg and boom, right in there. So you definitely, like you mentioned, I can see that you definitely have to think a lot when, like, okay, and like what can I get away with here?
Right. I mean, because we're talking like some of the hardest, most pure strikers are there doing UWFI. So getting a forearm to the back of the head from someone like Lord Crew or Max Zero is a lot different than catching one from someone who doesn't have as, strong a hit or as deadly accuracy as they do. There are things that I've taken in a regular wrestling match against, a regular wrestler and been like, that's fine. Take the same thing in a UWFI and, wake up, with the ref in front of me going, are you good? Are you good? Like, no, what happened? I blinked too long.
Yep. I can definitely see that. And from some of the matches of those that I've been able to catch, I'm like, good Lord. Like, I remember, we talked a little bit about watching Japanese wrestling. I remember I believe it was a Wrestle Kingdom from a few years ago, was one of the first Japanese shows that I ever got the full show. And I'm wanting to say Tomohiro Ishii was in the match. And like, you see people here in the States throwing like a headbutt. And it's like, you can almost a lot of the time tell that, they're not actually hitting them. But this one is like, you hear the bone on bone, like, your head hurts just watching it.
Yeah, a standard headbutt for like, a normal New Japan match, I feel like, is the equivalent of what you would see in like an American death match.
Yeah.
Like, most American traditional style wrestlers either don't have they're either too smart or they don't have the gumption to just grab someone by the ears and headbutt them in the head. Like, they find a way to protect themselves a little bit or something. I get it. It's your brain. You've only got one.
Yeah.
But some of us are here for a good time, not a long time. Ishii is one of those, I believe, that, him and Shibata, both just big straight headbutt guys. Stick thud. Like, I get a lot of Shibata vibes when I watch Akira do the same shit. Yeah.
Yep. No, and I know when I watch Ishii in particular, it's like, especially when he has a belt, like if he has a title, I swear when he's walking to the ring, just the look on his face is almost like he's saying it without actually saying it, but like, you're gonna have to damn near kill me to take this from me. And I'm like, I think that's part of what gravitates me towards guys like that, because I love that intensity.
Yeah. I really feel like to be successful, you have to be aggressive. And those guys that are able to bring that intensity are the ones that you remember, long run, short run. Like, there are people that, wrestlers that people will still talk about in hushed tones because of their intensity and just how good their work rate was. And then, there are other guys that take a little bit more of a lackadaisical approach. You don't remember them as much unless their character works really good or something like that.
Yeah. They have that little, not so much on the intensity scale, but they definitely have, some about their character catches people. But I remember, I talked a little bit about Jonah, and I got to see him versus Jeff Cobb, and it's like I've never personally been at a show where like you see two guys chop each other, and you can literally see the individual beads of sweat flying off of them from the impact. Yeah, and that was the whole match.
That's a good match.
Oh man, it was something else. Like, I remember talking to the promoter after the show, and I'm like, dude, I have never seen that before, and it was just awesome.
Yeah, you get a couple of sweaty, big palmed, wide chested guys in there, you can do it pretty easily. With the right lighting, you can put on a really good show.
I can imagine. Don't want to forget, you've also been doing a lot with the New Wave. And I know recently they had their Mob Rules show, and I actually talked with the promoter, kind of hype up that show. Turned out pretty good. I'm like, I was telling him with that promotion, I was kind of, the first time I heard about it, a little conflicted, because the first promotion I ever watched an independent show from was when I was in San Diego, that they were also called New Wave, but they shut their doors like right before I got back from my deployment. And he mentioned something about knowing about those guys. So, but hey, I'm like, when I actually sat down and watched the product, I'm like, they're doing pretty good, and you seem to be doing pretty decent for yourself there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've done a couple things with them. Gosh, it's been so long, I can't really even remember. The beginning of the year is probably the last time I was there. And then, had that at Mob Rules, that hard fought match with Beef. Came away with the win in that one, but it was a tough one.
I remember watching that one. I'm like, yep, that was we talked a lot just the last few minutes about intense, hard hitting matches, and yeah, that was one.
Yeah, yeah, I know, like, we both draw a lot of inspiration from that early 90s Japanese style, not afraid to hit, not afraid to, leave marks on each other,
Yeah.
which is how it should be. I mean, in my
Oh
opinion.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm with you there. You don't like you don't want to go and necessarily send somebody to the hospital, but you want to make it believable.
Mm.
And in a lot of circumstances, you gotta lay a few in there.
Yeah. I mean, no one wants anyone to get hurt.
Oh yeah. No, totally.
But, it the old adage rings true whenever they say this isn't ballet.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I tell new people all the time. Like, you want to do something, like, you've got to commit to doing whatever it is, flip, move, kick, whatever,
Yeah.
you've got to commit to it 100%. You have to go with the intention that, I'm doing this is what the end result is. Like, you have to visualize it and do it.
Oop. Yeah, but no, I totally agree with you. There's shit, damn cat knocking over my damn. All right, there we go. But a lot I see of the younger talent just getting the start out there. That I mean, yeah, they're just getting into the business, but like when they're getting like a chop in or something, it's like, But it's like when I see somebody chopping a guy, I want to legit have the reaction that's like, oh damn, my chest hurts just watching that.
Yeah, and that's how it should be. But we're products of Ric Flair and Chris Benoit and gosh, those are the two hardest chopper. Kobashi's a hard chopper. Like, we grew up and are used to seeing that, and you expect that same level of intensity, and you get that from certain guys.
Yeah.
But I think, like, for new people especially, like, it's finding yourself and having to see if you've got that bit of dog in you to where you're like, I can put myself in a place where I have to physically hurt this person, but it's to win this contest. And some people, I think, just can't do it very well, and there's nothing wrong with that. You just find something different to do.
Yeah, no, there's other ways you can make yourself successful in the business. It's just a matter of finding what fits you the best. And there goes the damn cat again. I swear, between them and my dogs trying to do stuff, I'm trying to. But god dang, they definitely let you know when they're wanting attention. But another place, and I was kind of doing my homework for the episode, and it ties into the whole uniqueness, is on IWTV, their Uncharted Territory shows. And it's like, growing up, and even when I first started getting into independent wrestling, you don't really see too many places doing weekly shows. It's all monthly, which, I mean, hey, that's the way it goes. But it's definitely unique. Every week having the Uncharted Territory shows. How's that been there for you?
Well, I did that one, but I think that the concept that they're doing, with the Discovery Gauntlet, running a weekly show, I think it's great because it puts eyes on the product, it puts eyes on people, it allows it allows them to build stories and to do something more than just a super show. Like we've been watching seeing Adam Priest go like 12-0 now. I think the drama with Suge D and Alex Kane and Merrick, like they've been doing some really good stuff during the run of this year's Uncharted Territory.
Yeah, and like I'll admit, up until the last couple of months, like I hadn't really been exposed to it. I know a local promotion had been on IWTV for a little bit, but I started after starting this podcast. I was thinking, I'm talking to some of these guys, and a lot of them are talking about the show on IWTV, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna check this out, and then before you know it, I'm tuning in as much as possible because it definitely adds something. Trying to think here. Dog was trying to get into something, but there's so many choices out there for wrestling that it's like you can literally find something just about every day of the week, and that the IWTV definitely helps with that. If you're not a fan of one thing, they've got all sorts of stuff in their library of shows that current ones, their backlog. And it's like if you can't find something that you enjoy, especially with IWTV, the WWE Network, Impact Plus, if you can't find something, you're probably not even really a fan to begin with, because there is something out there for everybody.
Yeah, it's so easy. It's so much easier now than it was, even 15 years ago to pull up, wrestling whole shows, full matches, individual segments, like whatever you want. Like you can find something to watch that's enjoyable. And like you said, if you can't, you're not a fan of the product.
Oh yeah. Like I remember, speaking to that, I remember one time I was thinking back when I was, I think, in middle school, the WWE had a Monday Night Raw show in town, the one where I saw the Legion of Doom and Stone Cold, and it happened to be the same night where Owen Hart beat then Rocky Maivia for the Intercontinental title. And I'm like, I went and I looked up the date of that title change, and then I went on the network, found that date, and I rewatched the show. Yeah,
it's great. Like you're able to do stuff like that. And before WWE Network, that wasn't really an option.
Oh yeah, no.
You had to get the DVD releases or something, and I'm sure there were matches that just straight up you could not find anywhere.
Oh yeah. No, and like there's some matches, like I know they did some tapings for some other stuff that night, but I specifically remember Vader coming out like at least 3 times. Oh, one of my dogs, Forrest.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice he was poking his head in there, but I like I was saying, I remember him coming out like 3 times that night. And I don't know if they have some of those on the network. I think one might have been a dark match for all I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely something that it's definitely a plus having all that. One thing I was curious about before I get into some of these categories I have here is what have been some of your favorite matches so far?
Definitely the most recent one that I had with Beef at Mob Rules. I did one against Aaron Williams for the Ben Sheeran brand show that he had. That I'm trying to think. like those two stand out. I did a street fight last December. That was really like, I think, one of the first matches that I felt like a wrestler in, if that makes sense. Like, I felt like I had actually come closer that day to finding myself as a performer, and like that's when I think a lot of comfort really set in, to know like I've had before that I had a string of not so great matches, and then come out and we did 20 minutes, kept the crowd, trainer at the end was like, there was absolutely nothing wrong that I could say about this match. Like, you all killed it. Like, that rose my confidence to where I was able to then move up to that next level and start doing, the UWFI, and start working, some of these bigger names, people that definitely have more experience than I do. I just kind of keep falling and working my way into these situations where, maybe I'm not the first choice, but then something happens, somebody drops out, here I am to kind of slide in, and I'll pick that up. I'll step in right there, and I'll have that match, and then to have a good match on top of it, like, it's amazing what can happen in even less than a year.
Oh, I can totally agree. That's definitely got to be a good self-confidence booster out there, especially when you're like taking it as basically a replacement for somebody that couldn't show up, and then it's like having a great match on top of it and getting told that, hey, that you killed it out there. So I have two categories that I go with here. I used to call it the speed round, the first one, but it never ended up going that quickly. So I just changed it to a name game. I like to tailor it to each of my guests, and with you being a big guy, I figured why not name off some big guy wrestlers, some that are no longer really active, but some current ones. So first off, one of my personal favorite big guys of all time, Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah. Love Bam Bam. Take a lot of inspiration from him.
Oh yeah, I remember growing up. I don't know exactly what attracted him to me at first, but it might have just been like freaking flame tattoos on his head or something. It's like, holy crap.
I mean, even at that time, like, you didn't have a lot of guys that had tattoos
that
in
is
general, because a lot of your big stars were body guys, or they were straight wrestlers. Like, it was a different time. So, Bam Bam comes in, he's got a couple on his forearms, but flames on your head. Like, that's a good way to stand out.
No, totally. And like, we talked a little bit about the network, getting to go back and watch some of his older stuff. Like, I've been watching a lot of the original ECW TV stuff, and his matches with Shane Douglas, with Taz, hard hitting, just love it. I love that intensity, and his matches especially during his run there, were very much that.
Yeah, I honestly believe that if he would have been having the caliber level of matches intensity wise in WCW that he was having in ECW, like in the late 90s, he could have been, he could have stayed right there with Sid and Goldberg and being like main title, main event, like, because he came in, had that small program where they were all three, having their issues or whatever. And, then he eventually ends back up in Japan.
You know, I do remember that time. And I was like, oh, awesome. And then it's like, yeah, it kind of, at no real fault of his own, kind of just puttered out after that.
Yeah.
But next one, a guy that I mentioned that I saw at Warrior, a guy that I actually got to talk to, Jonah.
I'm a big fan of Jonah. When I watch modern big men, he's usually like right at the top of the list. Him and Walter Ishii, if I want to get like, he's not like a hoss or anything, but like he wrestles like one. I feel like he's a big power guy. Like, so I put him into that category. Like, yeah, I'm a big fan of Jonah. Really like his gear style. Wish he would change it. That way I can take it.
You know, I know he was selling some of his older gear, so he's gonna be getting some newer stuff here soon, because, you know, I was talking to him about when he was selling off his stuff, and it's like, man, like, I didn't want to lowball him on an offer, but it's like, holy crap, yeah, I cannot justify $500 right now.
Yeah, for a very well-made piece of spandex.
Mm-hmm. You know, we kind of brought up this guy, but next guy that was actually on my list, Ishii.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love Ishii. Like, just his intensity, his work rate. Like, when I got back into New Japan a few years ago, he was one of the guys that brought me back in, because I wasn't familiar with him from earlier years. So, you know, he comes lumbering out, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, he doesn't look like, you know, this man's short. He doesn't look like he's gonna do much, and I'm pretty sure, like, the bell rang, he sprints across the ring and just clothesline and like starts clubbering the other guy, and I was like, oh, okay, I see what you're about now. I like that.
He's over like a damn bulldozer and just
yeah, him and Shibata, both of them just ding ding, and they sprint across.
Yep. I remember with Ishii, you know, going back to actually Jonah, I actually told him about this, that there was a match couple months ago for Impact, for one of their shows, that it was announced that Jonah was going to be going up against Ishii, and I'm like, okay, I am going to make sure that I have Impact Plus just so I can see that match.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good match, like anywhere that you book it at. Like, certain places, it's main event material.
Oh yeah, totally. That one in a lot of places would definitely be the main event.
Mm-hmm.
Next guy, last one on this category, name game. Guy, we'll go with either Kevin Nash or Diesel, whichever one you want to refer to him as.
Kevin Nash is like honestly, like, goals for me, just in how he carries himself as a businessman. Like, you know, I feel like some people could make the case like, no, you shouldn't like Kevin Nash. Like, he didn't take the business serious. Like, he was there to get a check. Like, cool. He was smarter than all of us. He did shit the right way, protected himself, you know, made it so that, I mean, I'm sure there's just a bunch of things that he has done and helped change backstage that I don't know about, that no one does, you know, or if I'm giving him too much credit, then he's carrying himself the right way, which just leads into the next thing that I would like to say is that he's one of the best character workers. especially like that TNA run that he had,
Oh yeah.
where he was with the X Division guys.
Oh yeah.
Like, I grew up watching Diesel. I watched Kevin, the Outsiders. I watched the Wolfpack. It wasn't until that man got into TNA and I borderline was over wrestling that I watched it one day and went, man, you know what? He's actually doing really good stuff. And he brought me back. Just him running around with Alex Shelley and them.
Mm-hmm. Yep, those were some good times for him. I know, people give him and Scott Hall a lot of crap for, politicking or whatever you want to call it. But, when those guys kind of, in a way, stood up for what they knew their worth was, and then went to WCW, like, up to that point, and Vince was very open about he didn't really have the guaranteed contracts at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, it wasn't really until after those guys did what they did that now those guys today have those.
Yeah. Yeah, because, there for a while, like, the early 90s, like, Flair jumped, Savage jumped, Hogan jumped. Like, you had big people moving around, from company to company. And then, even after Hall and Nash debut, like, you still have Medusa and Rick Rude doing their thing. Like, the 90s was wild.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. All right, next category, kind of a random question round, some wrestling related, some not. You answer how you see fit.
Okay.
First one. Anything on your wrestling bucket list?
Japan, definitely.
Yeah.
Would love to go to Japan. I'd like to go to England. Like, international travel would be cool. The older that I got, the more that it's just like, I want to be happy and make a living. Like, I've never been I need to go to WWE guy. Like, even as a kid, I wanted to be in WCW. WCW folds. Okay, cool. I will, I guess, go to Japan. And then that always stayed the goal, and that's what I enjoyed. So
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, international travel would be cool. Ring of Honor would be cool. Ring of Honor would have been cool before the AEW buyout. Now it's still a destination landmark. There are some guys that I'd like to get matches with if the stars align and, theirs is going down and mine's going up or whatever, and we can meet in the middle. Like, I'd like to get a match with Eddie Kingston one time. Jake something. He's been on my bucket list since I did a seminar with him. It's hard because, like, the way that I thought my career was going to go, it hasn't been. It's been going in a different, better direction.
Gotcha.
Quicker getting to places. So I'm like, I could be sitting here wanting to talk about, fighting Eddie Kingston, and in a couple of years it could be happening. I don't know. So, like, my goals list is, like, very regional and then, like, expands outwardly.
No, I can get that. I know, as far as a wrestling bucket list for me, I know getting to go to a Japan show, like, I thought about it, and I've seen a bunch of the YouTube videos on those capsule hotels. I'm like, holy shit, I want to go to Japan, go to one of those shows, and stay at one of those damn hotels.
Yeah.
just to say that I had the experience of doing it.
Yeah, that's a lot of my stuff is just wanting to go have experiences, have a good career, make some money, do the thing.
Oh yeah, and then you bring up Ring of Honor. I mean, it'd still be a pretty cool destination. I watched Death Before Dishonor, and it was an amazing show. My only thing with them is hoping that Tony Khan will kind of delegate, because you hear all these stories coming out of, like, I guess, a lack of communication. And it's like, my worry is that, you hear about Paul Heyman with ECW, especially towards the end there, that he spread himself so thin and wouldn't really delegate.
Yeah.
That I'm afraid that Tony Khan's going to run into the same damn thing.
Yeah. And it's possible, but, he needs to, let Ring of Honor, be its own thing, have it still be associated with the brand.
Yeah.
But, like you said, let other people run it. He can still oversee it.
Yeah.
But if he's going to focus on anything, he should focus on AEW.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Still, people, whoever would run the day-to-day, still answer to him.
Mm-hmm.
But, have his main focus be on what he started with, so that way he doesn't run himself thin, and you run into some of the pretty big names that they do have getting frustrated and wanting to leave.
Right.
I would hate to see that happen to Ring of Honor or AEW, but I'm afraid that if he doesn't delegate, that might end up happening.
Yeah, it's always a possibility, especially with new companies doing new things. It'll be interesting to see how the next year or so goes with the great AEW Ring of Honor experiment.
Oh yeah, I'm optimistic. So, next question I had: must-haves for a road trip. With all the traveling that you guys do with independent wrestling.
Gosh, energy drinks are a must, for sure. Gotta have some bangs and reigns. My gallon jug that I always have with water in it. If you add that, energy drinks, road snacks, of all the stuff that you need for the show, because that stresses me out more than anything.
Yeah.
Potentially forgetting something, and good vibes. If I'm solo, cool, whatever. Well, I'll listen to whatever I want to. But if there are people in the car, I like people to interact, and if you got a song request, throw it out. If you want the aux, say you want the aux. Just be a living, breathing person, unless you need to take a nap.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm so used to just from traveling with school sports and stuff to having the bare minimum that I need.
No, I can understand that. I definitely have memories of back then myself. Next question. Any hobbies, and what is a day off like for you?
I play a lot of video games. I've always been a big video game person. If I'm not doing that or watching wrestling, I'll be working out. I like car shows like Top Gear. I play rally simulators and stuff too, so I will watch rally events. That's it, man. I'm simple. I'm a homebody if I'm not at a show, because I use all of my my extrovert energy when I go out to places for wrestling events. So Like if you see me at one and I look tired, it's probably because I've been around people for too many days in a row.
No, I'm kind of the same way. I know I have in a Series S for the new Xboxes, and I have a Nintendo 64, PlayStation 2, and I have this thing that can play like both Super Nintendo and regular, because the actual systems for those two are getting a little hard to find.
Yeah.
With video games, would you say you're more of a PlayStation or Xbox? That's the big thing lately. What's
I've had a PC for a while now, so
PC?
Yeah, to me, if you're gonna buy a console, like, then it boils down to exclusives.
True.
So I was like, if I get a PC, then I can play pretty much anything that's not a PlayStation exclusive on it. I'll get a PlayStation and then only buy the exclusives for that. So that's kind of how we've been operating for the last few years, and it's worked.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. I know PlayStation, They definitely have some pretty nice exclusives that have, gotten me tempted. I've got to play a little bit of the God of War series, and those have been getting pretty nice. I know the big exclusive for them, the big Spider-Man games. I've been seeing some stuff on those, and it's like, oh man.
Yeah.
Me having Xbox, and they have some decent exclusives, but nothing like the PlayStation ones.
Yeah.
Next and last question. Best advice for anybody getting into the wrestling business?
Understand that it's hard. It's one of the hardest things that I've ever done. From a physical, mental, and emotional standpoint, it's the hardest thing that I've ever done. I played baseball for 15 years. That was easy. I've weightlifted on and off for the last 18. That's easy. Like, being on the road's hard. Wrestling, the actual act of it, is difficult, and there's more that goes into it than I think a lot of people realize. It's not just show up, perform, and leave. Like, you gotta set that ring up, and you gotta set everything else up. You gotta tear all that shit down at the end too.
Yeah.
I really think that people get into it not knowing exactly what they're getting into. And I've seen in just a short little bit of time that I've been in it, I've seen people with a lot of promise fizzle out really quickly. And it's not for everyone. So, like, if you've got to if you're getting in or you're thinking about it, know it's going to be hard, like, but stick with it, because with anything, the more that you do it, the easier that it gets. Certain aspects of it do. But it's the best test that I've had in my entire life. From, being like, oh man, my physical shape sucks. Like, I've got to start hitting it harder in the gym. Yeah. So if you want to be good in wrestling, you got to be good in the gym. If you want to be good in the gym, you got to be good in the kitchen. If you want to be good in the kitchen, you got to be good in all the other aspects of your life. Like, it's hard. And I think for a lot of people, like, the easiest thing to say would be don't do it. But I think that if you really want it, it's like any other dream. Like, you have to chase it, and you have to chase it hard to find any sort of success.
And I mean, I like to think of it, if you're wanting to get in and you want it bad enough, anything worth doing ain't gonna be easy.
Mm-hmm.
And just like any dream you're gonna have, if you're willing to, you got to be willing to put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
the other thing that seems to be the common answer I get to that question is have your mouth closed and your ears open.
Yeah. 100. It's definitely something where until you get to a certain point, if you ever get there, don't talk. Just stand there and look pretty. If you are going to talk, like, ask what you can do to help.
Yeah.
Like, I think that should be a lot of the main focus for new people, especially because you're putting on a show. Like, so there are so many other aspects. If you're not on the show, be a part of the show. That's what I did. Like, you need a camera guy? Cool, I'll run your camera. You need a guy setting up lights? Cool, I'll do that. You need a security guard? I got you. Like, if you're not on the show, be a part of the show and learn every bit of it.
Oh, yeah.
That's one thing I think that, like, I've got a background in television. I think that's one thing that helps me out, was knowing that there's more to it than just showing up and wrestling.
Yeah. And, you bring it up, if you're not in the show, be a part of it. I've actually interviewed a guy that I met him when I was still stationed in San Diego, but he got booked in that XPW King of the Death match.
Mm-hmm.
He got booked simply by being there to help set up and everything. And then some guy couldn't make it for whatever reason. And then he told me people started pointing over at him. And then before you know it, there he is in the show.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It can happen as quickly as that. You're at the right place, right time. Or, maybe like for me, like with Paradigm, I showed up and sat up for a year. Like every show, if they were somewhere, I'd go to Columbus or Indianapolis or, somewhere in Indiana, wherever they needed me, I would go there, set up, do weapons, whatever I needed to do, I did it.
Yeah. Sometimes getting your foot in the door in that aspect, that'll, before you know it, sometimes it might be a little longer of a process. Sometimes, right place, right time. You could be there thinking, I'm just going to help set up. And then before you know it, you're actually in the show.
Yep.
It's actually happened more times than I can count. I know of guys that have just went and it's like, oh, we need an extra guy for a scramble match or something. And it's like, boom, there you are.
Then you're in the scramble, you impress in the scramble, and the next thing you know, you're on the next show in a 6-man. Oh, you impress in that. Now you're in a tag team. Oh, you impress it. Well, now you've got your singles. And now you've got a consistent booking.
Yeah.
That's one way that people can get into, a promotion. And it may be that you set up, do that, work a couple shows, and then you never go back.
Yeah.
I've experienced that too.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it happens.
Yeah. It's all timing and focusing your priorities.
Yeah. It happens different times for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But that is about all I have. I think my little buddy here is getting kind of hungry, so I better get him taken care of. But I want to, where can people find you as far as, social medias and stuff, so people can give you a follow?
I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Facebook, you can search for Lobo Okami. Instagram, it's Lobo Okami Wrestler, all one word. And then on Twitter, it's Lobo_Okami.
All righty. And, I will be posting links in the description to those accounts. So people watch this episode, they can go give you a follow.
That'll work.
All righty. Thank you again.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.